Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody in between, outside, inside, and all around. This is Mr. Fusion, and I just wanted to take a few minutes to talk to you because I've been getting a lot of comments and questions lately asking what's going to happen with Dragon Ball Dissection once I'm done with the manga. So, is Dragon Ball Dissection going to continue into Dragon Ball GT and Dragon Ball Super? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Don't click away. Don't get that. Stop. Okay. I do not know, but I did want to talk about that because there is a reason behind that answer, and I was hoping to be able to explain that to you in a fairly brief and hopefully entertaining way, because it really does tie back into this channel in general. So if you'll just bear with me and listen to this, maybe you'll understand the maybes and why it's so kind of up in the air right now. So to take it all the way back to the beginning, I started my channel, Mr. Fusion, in 2006. It was really more just of a YouTube account then, just to have a YouTube account, because YouTube was the new hot thing, whatever. In 2007, I uploaded my first video, which was a college directing project I'd done, and it's still up here. If you ever feel the need to check it out, it's up there. But that was just to be able to share it with the actors who I was working with. It wasn't until 2009, April 2009, that I started actually regularly putting out content and reviews for the channel. And growing it from there. I was 23, and I was recently out of college, and I had learned to do video editing and directing in college, and now that I was out of school, I wanted just something to be able to work on to keep those skills sharp. So I thought it'd be fun to do that. This was right around the time that a lot of, big name internet content creators were becoming a thing, Angry Video Game Nerd and Nostalgia Critic and Spoony and all that kind of stuff. And so it was definitely a hobby, but I always had that sort of thought in the back of my head, oh, what if this became like a big thing? Fast forward over a decade later, and it has not become a big thing by certain standards, but I'm very proud of where I am. It's exciting to think that I'm right around the corner from 20,000 subscribers. That's nice. That's great, and thank you. So we'll skip ahead to April of 2019, about a year and a half ago. That was my 10th anniversary, basically. And it put a lot of thoughts in my head. It was interesting to reflect on that, because 10 years is a long time to consistently do anything. There are very few things in my life outside of this channel I can say that I've done for 10 years. I've never lived in the same home for 10 years. I've never gone to the same school for 10 years. Never had the same job for 10 years. Never been in a relationship with one person for 10 years. But I've had this channel through 3 different states, multiple jobs, multiple relationships. It's been a really big constant in my life. And that was really satisfying and humbling to think that I'd put that much effort into this. Think of all the YouTube channels, of all the people who go, like some 16-year-old goes, oh, I want to make a YouTube channel, and they do it for like a month, and then they give up. So I was really proud of that, and really thankful for all the support I've gotten to get me to that point. But at the same time, it made me think, okay, so what is my end goal with this? What am I hoping to achieve with this? And how much of my life can I reasonably be expected to devote to it? Because I started to look back, and the more time that I committed to my channel, trying to get videos out more frequently, settling on a, every other Monday release schedule since 2016, doing Dragon Ball Dissection December since 2013, the more effort I put into the channel, splitting it between my work life and my channel life, I began to realize I really didn't have... I was losing my life outside of that. I didn't really do a lot of things outside of that anymore. Even when I was at my job, I would find free time to work on the channel. On days off, I felt guilty if I didn't work on the channel. And when I would take time off to do other things, work on freelance video projects or act in a show, I would feel guilty that I wasn't working on the channel, and my numbers would drop off. And I reached the point at that 10th anniversary, I was like, okay, well, I need to make a change in my life. And that was a sort of a broad look at things too, because I'd been in the same job for a while. I was getting really comfortable, and it's like, okay, well, something has to change. Either I say goodbye to my job, I say goodbye to the channel, or maybe I say goodbye to both and just start over from scratch. I certainly didn't want to let go of my channel, especially I had some really big growth in 2018. I'm like, I wonder what I could really do with this. It'd be great if I could, make this into a full-time job, and how big it could grow if I was able to devote all my time to it. But being a relatively small channel, it occurred to me that, well, ad revenue just wasn't doing it. And the only way I could think of to possibly make that a reality was through something like Patreon, through crowdsourcing, through a patronage type of system. And that terrified me. I thought I'd entertained the idea for years, but I never did it. Just like it took me about 5.5 years to even do ad revenue. I hate asking for things. It makes me really uncomfortable. But I realized, since I was sort of on this, well, it's now or never kind of thing, I needed to sort of overcome those fears. So I put out some feelers in videos early that year, talking about the possibility of it being a full-time thing. And everybody was like, well, why don't you do Patreon? I would love to support your Patreon if you had one. And so that made me feel more comfortable that, okay, people are on board with this. This is not going to make me some kind of pariah necessarily. But I was still terrified of it. Terrified that I would do it wrong, that I would have tiers that nobody cared about, that I would be giving myself even more work to do, having to fulfill the Patreon goals, and either having to fulfill the rewards. And then on the other hand, it was like, well, God, what if nobody cares? What if I put this out here and I get like $2 a month? That would just be crushing, So I spent months building up this Patreon. I would just, type out some things and come back to it. I would sit, go to a Starbucks and sit at a table and just wrangle over every word, reorganize things. I sent it out to friends, saying, now, does this tier list seem right to you? Does the pricing seem right to you? What would you suggest? So I was really just trying to do this right. And finally, I thought I was ready, and I followed Patreon's guidance to put it out to a small number of people first, so that when it went wide, it wouldn't just be a big goose egg. It would lure people in by saying, oh, other people have already joined up. So I put it out to my Facebook and Twitter followers first, and those guys were wonderfully generous. It was not a huge, crushing embarrassment. And I thought it was ready to go out. I finished the video that I was going to announce Patreon in, and I had just finished that video. It was the Cell Arc part 17, I think. Ironically, it's the one that had this thumbnail. I finished that video. It went out to patrons. It went out to patrons, and then the very next day, I think it was the very next day, my mom suddenly passed away. And if you've seen a lot of the videos, or some of the videos from the past year, then you probably already know this. I've talked about it. It's been on social media. It's been in it's been in Dragon Ball Dissection videos. I've mentioned it in one of my Batman videos. So I think you all know that. I'm not going to dwell on that here, except for how it pertains to this situation. But thank you for all the well wishes I received during that time. But it was really kind of a surreal thing, because I'd already had that video ready to go out, and I had a release date for it, and so while I was, after I'd gone back to, family home and took care of the funeral and all that kind of stuff, I still had to put that video out. It was weird. But it completely changed my plans around. In bad ways and in good ways. I had plans for the Patreon. I wrote that in my description, which were hopefully build towards something. At first it would be like, oh, just enough money to get new equipment or get new media. Just to be able to support the things that I'm buying to make these videos. Then eventually, hopefully, maybe I could, hire an editor so I wouldn't have to spend as much time on each video myself. And maybe once it got really big, then I could make it a full-time job. off in the distant future somewhere, who knows, if it ever even got that far. But then when Mom died, that sort of changed everything, because I was, being the only heir and the administrator of the estate, I was suddenly responsible for all of her bills, including the mortgage on her house. So suddenly I was having to pay for my life, my expenses, my place to live, as well as paying for her place to live. Otherwise, this house would be lost. And suddenly the Patreon became a very different thing. It became something that was helping me pay for that instead. In that sense, the Patreon was a godsend. It was the weirdest thing that was kind of like perfect timing, not for what I expected it to be, but for what I ended up needing at the time. So thank you so much for your generosity during that period, because that made those difficulties much easier to navigate. But at the same time, I started thinking, I had noticed, which you notice when you start having to pay these things all the time, that the mortgage on my mother's house was much less expensive than the rent I was paying on my one-bedroom apartment. And I knew I was going to have to come back to the house at some point to take care of it, to make sure it didn't fall into disrepair. But the problem is that my mother's house and my apartment were like 700 miles away from each other. We did not live close together. So it wasn't as if I could just go, oh, okay, I'll just give up my apartment and move into this house, and then I'll have less expenses. No, in order to do this, I would have to give up the entire life I'd built for myself. I'd have to give up my job. I'd have to give up everything. But it seemed like it might be the only way. After several months, I got into the point where the Patreon was pretty much paying for the mortgage. I'm like, okay, this is it. If I'm going to do this, this might be the opportunity that I needed. I could move back into my mother's house, and while I'm taking care of it, I could turn the channel into a full-time job. And it was scary to think about, but it seemed like the right thing, and possibly even the only thing, for at least for a little while. But it was a big risk. The thought of giving up a full-time job with benefits, vacation time, sick leave, all that, health insurance, to go and make YouTube videos in my mom's house, in my hometown where I went to high school. It wasn't great, but I just told myself it wouldn't be permanent. It's just something that would, help me achieve this goal. So I had planned for it, and I was going to wait until the estate cleared, because there was no will, so I had to go through the courts, until I actually inherited all this stuff, because it just seemed kind of silly to give up my life when I didn't even actually have anything. So I was going to wait for the estate to clear, and then, immediately, get ready to move, quit my job, and leave the apartment behind. Therefore, so I wouldn't be in a position where I was paying for 2 places to live just on my YouTube money. And then COVID-19 happened. And suddenly, live entertainment was no longer feasible. My entire department was furloughed, and I found myself paying for 2 places to live on just my YouTube money. So suddenly, what had seemed like a really risky thing to do became the only thing to do. It's like, okay, well, I've already put the thought into this. Let's do it. I got to get out of here. And so I very quickly packed up everything, broke the lease on my apartment, and came back here. And I've been here for about 4.5 months now. And I've been making YouTube videos full time, and it has been lovely. And the Patreon and the ad revenues continue to grow, and the subscriber base has grown. And I hope you guys have appreciated longer videos, more scripted videos, not just let's play filling up time kind of thing. I hope you guys have appreciated the extra work I've gotten to put into this kind of stuff. So now you know all that, and I bet you're still wondering, okay, what does this have to do with anything? Again, it's been growing, and I'm just amazed at how much it has grown. It's like about 10 times as much as I was making a little over a year ago from YouTube. But as amazing as it has been, I still am not exactly breaking even. I'm getting close. Basically, if I'm going to do Dragon Ball GT or Dragon Ball Super, which is going to be another few more years commitment, this channel will have to get to a point where I can make a living, a comfortable living doing this. Otherwise, do I really want to be doing this until I'm like 40 or something? But that's basically where I am right now, and I can't even really give a number because I don't even know what it would be to be worth to me, and I've never really lived in a house before, and I'm finding all kinds of things that now I have to take care of and fix and make sure don't get broken, and so I don't really know what the costs are really. So it sounds like I'm asking for more money kind of thing, and technically that is the case. But the fact of the matter is I don't really have any preconceptions for this. As far as I'm concerned, I made it. I'm here, I'm doing this. And whether it's just for a little while or if it's for a longer term, that's fine. You know, I am so proud of what I've been able to do and what you guys have helped me to be able to do. So if it works out, that's great. If it doesn't work out, that's great too. You know, obviously, if I get to the point where I don't have enough money to keep doing this, then the channel will end. Hopefully that'll at least, well, hopefully it won't be until I finish up with the manga at the very least. But it's sort of a touch and go, play it by ear kind of thing right now. And I'll see where we are once we get a little bit closer to that. But like I said, either way, I am so glad I've been able to do this. And so thankful for all of you guys. But I just wanted to put this out there so you guys know what the situation is, because it's kind of hard to really explain in response to a YouTube comment or a tweet. Just wanted to tell everybody at once that this is kind of what's going on in my head right now. And I hope that's something you guys can understand and appreciate. And thank you so much for everything, for watching, for subscribing, and if you can donate anything at all, even just $1 a month, that is really, really helpful to me. I keep saying if like just a quarter of my subscriber base did $1 a month, that would be great, you know. But obviously, you know, there are rewards there for higher tiers as well, having your name in the credits. People love the getting to see videos early kind of thing. But you know, again, this is a really weird, tough time we're in right now, and I understand if you guys can't do that. But obviously, in an ideal world, ad revenue would be enough for me to make a living off of. It's just not there right now. So if you can't do Patreon, then, you know, please, you know, like the videos, comment on them, share them with your friends, try to get as many people in here as possible. And I hate having to ask that at the end of videos as well. I hate asking for anything. It just seems weird and obnoxious to me, but it is kind of, I do have to play the game to an extent. So, you know, I appreciate you helping out in whatever way you can. If it's monetary, that's great. If it's through just keeping the videos going by watching and by sharing them, that's fantastic as well. But that's pretty much what's been going on. So thank you for listening, thank you for watching, thank you for understanding, and hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you so much. Bye.